All right, this is page 22. All right, we're on page 22, and we're going to do what they call flow proofs. One of the reasons you take geometry is to do proofs in here. They're really important in math, and this is like where you get your introduction to proofs in geometry. That's one of the reasons you take geometry. There are 3 types of proofs that we'll do in here. One is a 2-column proof, so look like this. We'll do the flow proofs today because they work better for what we're doing right now. And then eventually a paragraph where you have, it's almost like essay type. So eventually we'll get there, but right now we're just doing flow. What you may hear me say are cloud proofs. And a lot of students will call them cloud proofs because they look like clouds. So that's not the technical name for it. That's just sometimes people remember it that way. All right, so we're going to do the same one from your warm-up, your do now. Not your warm-up, your do now. It looked like this. So please just draw this. So we'll do the same thing, but we're going to write it in a proof format. So the same questions that you had will be on here. It'll just be in a proof format. So if you remember, we talked about geometry being a visual math, and one of the reasons you take geometry is so that you can develop and increase your reasoning and your ability to make proofs. So that's what, and I just labeled this wrong. Oops. That's supposed to be E. If you remember on your work, on your do now, that was E. Sorry, I put the wrong letter. That's E. That one was A. That one's B. That one's C. That one's D. So this is the one from the warm-up, from the do now. You've already done this one. Now, the way the cloud proof works, and all proofs work this way, is you have, when you say something, and then you have to give the reason for it. So in all of them, that's what you're doing. You just do it in different ways. So in cloud proof and flow proof, what you're going to do is you're going to draw a cloud. And inside of the cloud, you basically put the answer. Okay? You put the answer. And then underneath it, you put the reason. That's what we're doing, and that's basically what you have to do in cloud proofs. Your project and then your test coming up will be based off this. Yeah, answer goes inside the cloud.
What I'm saying, we write the exact same thing.
Yeah, copy the same thing. Yeah, we're going to do an example together, but they're all of the clouds are going to be the answer goes inside and then the reason goes underneath it. For the ones that we're doing, okay, what it's going to look like is this. You'll put the angle measure. Oh, hold on. You'll put the angle inside the cloud, like angle A is this much, angle B is this much, angle C is this much. Hello, I'm just recording. Now, underneath it, you're gonna put the type. We have 3 types in here. We've only done 3 types. Okay, so that's all you're gonna put, period, end of story. So one of the types that we've done in here is complementary. Complementary. That's when you have the box. And then I'm gonna call on someone, hopefully can tell me, what do you subtract from for complementary? Mariana, or go ahead, Martavius. Yeah, for complementary, you subtract from 90. Okay, so you write complementary. The other type is supplementary. That's the half circle. Can you tell me, Israel or Kamaya, what do you subtract from for yeah, 180. For supplementary is 180. And then the last type is vertical. So those are the 3 things that you would put underneath your cloud as your reasons, except for one more. I'll show you the other one. because that's all we've done. And vertical are equal to each other. So that's all we've done. Those would be the 3 types that you have. And I'll show you one other type. So you put the reason inside the cloud, and then you put the answer. You put the answer inside the cloud, the angle, and underneath it you put which kind they are. That's your reason, how you got your answer. Because if they're complementary, you subtract from 90. If they're supplementary, you subtract from 180. If they're vertical, they're equal. All right, so we're going to do an example. Now, in the problem, they told you angle A was 43. And then you had to solve for B, right? Yeah. E and D. So you have to have a cloud for each one of those. You have to have 4 clouds, at least 4 clouds. Okay, you didn't have to solve for C. A, B, E, and D. Okay, can I move this up? Did everyone copy so far? No. All right, so the first one we're going to do is A. Now, A is here in the problem, so I'm going to make a cloud for A. I still have to make a cloud for A. A is 43. Angle A is 43. Now, the reason for it, how do I know it's 43? Where did I get 43 from? In the problem, it was given to me. So the reason that you write underneath it is given. If it's given to you in the problem, you write given. That's your reason. You don't have to solve for it. You don't have to do anything. It's in the problem, so that's called given. And you write given. Good so far? You always have to do that. So if they will always give you something you have to write given. All right, the one that y'all did next is B. So we're going to make a cloud for B. There's B. Now, I used A to get to B. I used those 2. So we're talking about both of them. So I have to make an arrow from A to B because that represents there's something. There's a relationship. There's a type of angles. Okay. I went from this one to get to this one. So the arrows are going to be really important in your project. You're going to have a lot of them. All right. So I'm going to come back up here. And I have to know what kind these are. There's a box there. Quentin or Uriah, what kind are A and B? Yeah, they're complementary. So underneath it, you would write the reason, which is complementary. So what you should have done is subtracted from 90. 90 minus 43 is 47. So you're putting the answer that you would normally put, and then you put the type underneath it. Then we did, okay, so now we did B, we did A, now we're going to do E. So I'm going to go back up here. A and E. Kenyon or Eric, what kind did y'all get for A and E? Yeah, supplementary. So we're talking about A still, so I draw an arrow from A. I make a new cloud here. Bless you. And then, what was that E? They said it was supplementary, so that's what I write underneath it. So I'm writing the type underneath it. So for supplementary, it's going to be 180 minus 43. Javius, do you remember what you got for this one? Or Alexia behind you? 180 minus 43. Do you remember what you got? Yeah.
37.
Yeah, it was 137. All right, so that's what we're doing for each one. We're figuring out the type, just like you've been doing before. Most people did 100 on their do now. You get the number, you just put the reason underneath it. All right, the last one was A and E. Here's D. Yeah. All right, A and D. Who haven't I called on? Lizzie or Derek? What kind are A and D? Perfect. So then we're talking about A and D. So I make an arrow coming out of A to D. The arrows are really important. If you put it on the wrong thing, like for example, if I put the arrow between these two, then that means I'm talking about them. Like if I put the arrow between these, then I'm saying that B and E are supplementary. So it's really, really important that the arrows are correct, that they're pointing to the right things. Since we're talking about A and D, it has to be from A and D. So here's D. They said it was vertical. Vertical are equal. I don't have to subtract anything. They're the same thing. That one's 43, so this one's 43. And that's it. And that's my whole cloud proof. So everything you were just doing, same thing that you were doing on the do now. I asked you for the type and I asked you for the numbers. You're doing the same thing here, just with arrows, and then you're just putting the answer in the cloud and the reason underneath it. Okay. So, all right, so this is F. F, G, H, and K. All right, and they will tell you angle F is 72 degrees. So what you're gonna find are G, H, and K. F is 72. All right, so what I'm going to do in a little bit, I'll walk around, don't say the answer out loud so people can get extra credit checks. All right, you're going to do a cloud for angle F. Okay, tell me how much angle F measures and then tell me the reason. If you could do that by yourself, I'll walk around and give you a pink check. All right, so it tells you in the problem angle F is 72. So you don't have to do anything. It's in the problem. It says angle F is 72. The reason, because it's in the problem, it's not going to be one of 3 types. It's just given because it's in the problem. They gave that to you. That's it. Now what I'm going to have you do is do the rest. So I'll walk around and give you a check for each one. You could do any letter at this point. You could do G, H, or K first. Just make sure your arrows are correct. There's many ways to solve this one. Like, for example, you just pick one, okay? You don't have to do the same thing as everybody else. Like, you could do G next. Tell me what kind those are. And then you can go from F to H. Give me just a second because I'm recording this lesson for people that are absent. All right, so this is the second example. We have segments here. We have 4 angles. The first one, they tell you the problem is Z is 72. But I'd even make sure you were in the countdown. You don't have phones out. Y, W, and T are the ones you're supposed to find, Belkis. Right now, you're not supposed to have phones out. The first one you're supposed to have is Z. That's the first one I asked you to have. So you put Z. Oh, I totally forgot. Z is 72. Now, what you're gonna do, this is the part that some people got wrong because they didn't put the correct reason. It's in the problem. They tell you the answer. You don't have to do anything. It's not supplementary. It's not complementary. It's not vertical. The reason for it is given. It's in the problem. If it's in the problem and the answer's in the problem, that's the reason. It's given. All right. What you're going to do next is you're going to do the rest of them, Y, T, and W. I'll walk around. There's many ways of getting them. I'll walk around and check your work.